what am I going to say here? April did this training. I'm sure she's modified it slightly for tonight, but she did this training for the Amish folks last weekend when we were there, and they went nuts over it. I mean, they just went absolutely crazy over it. So, take some notes. It's very, very common sense, and I think you guys are going to love it. So, anyway, let me get into it. A lot of people getting on late. It'll get better because I don't know if you noticed, but it's getting darker
Yep.
earlier and it's not getting as light early. And I guess 1 minute a day over a period of months and it changes a lot. So anyway, let me go through this with you. So take some notes. If it's easier for you, just take some screenshots. Whatever's better. But believe it or not, there's only 9 days left in August. And I know up north it's still summer. I know school hasn't started yet. And I also Labor Day is late this year. So I get all of that, but it's really kind of time to get focused. Again, I guess is the right word that I'm looking for. But we have power hour tomorrow, as always, at 4 p.m. Eastern. And keep in mind, this would be a great hour to spend dedicated to inviting guests to our opportunity Zoom, which is tomorrow night. I'll go into that in a second. But if you look at the second row, August 24th at 8:30, that's our opportunity Zoom. And that is one of the events that you can really take advantage of and, you know, um, introduce us as your partners, leverage it, whatever you want to do. But, you could spend the next 24 hours just filling up that Zoom with a guest. But something I want to share with you, I don't know if you know, and I'll give you the details on this a couple slides in, but there's a meeting coming up in Houston on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 29th. Give some thought to who you might know in the Houston and Houston suburb area. We know the folks down there. We can call ahead. You guys will be greeted, with open arms. Greg and Patty Palka and the two other distributors that are hosting the event are really good people. So if you know anyone in the Houston area, and surrounding area, next Saturday, I believe, and the details are coming up in a couple of slides, but I think the opportunity meeting is at 10 in the morning, and then from 11 to 1, they're doing training. So it'd be a great event. April's going to talk about Wellness Wednesdays. This past Wednesday, there was just a spectacular um, Zoom and on the effects that elderly people and nursing home and assisted living folks are getting with our products. So April talked to that, talk to you more about that. And just a reminder, we're getting closer and closer to Global Convention in Utah. And, I was texting with Skylar this weekend, and, the company really believes it's going to be 5 or 6 years before we can use the Salt Palace again due to renovations and other companies that already have reservations made for when the renovations are done. There's a tongue twister. But anyway, let me just give you a couple things that you could take screenshots of if you need more information. So this is the details, and this is in Telegram. We could also text it to you if you need it, but these are the details for the Houston meeting on Saturday. Okay, so anyone you know down there, and April and I know Greg and Patty very well. April's actually done business with John, Marvin, and I guess Melissa too. So we know all four of them. So if you know anyone down there, it'd be a great meeting to get them into. As I mentioned, if you don't have the details, Power Hour is tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. It's every Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Okay, so this is tomorrow night. Our opportunity presentation is tomorrow night. All of this has been posted in the groups, but if for some reason you need it or you'd like it texted to you, just let us know and we'll send it right over to you. But this is tomorrow night, and this is when you get an opportunity that for 30 or 35 minutes, the opportunity we try and keep it to 30, 35 minutes when we do it, but this is a chance to get on, watch it with your guest. And we've always said it's better live when you're one of the Hollywood squares than if you're watching the replay. Okay. But the replays work too. I mean, last month, April and I have been we always use, if somebody we invite on doesn't join us like live, obviously we use the replay, and it's been being watched about in the last 3 weeks about 150 times. So the replay does a good job, but it's never as good as the live. So see what you can do as far as the live goes with getting folks for tomorrow night. Okay. And again, this is the Wellness Wednesday. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it other than telling you it has been great. And again, April will go through the details with you with that. We are now closing in. We're 9 days away from the second month closing out for the Cancun trip. Obviously, more people have already made the trip, but it can be done. You just enroll, retain in advance. All the details are on the website. And I can't think of a better time to go to Cancun than in January. Okay, January 8, 9, 10, 11. That's easy, short trip, short plane ride, and a great place to be in the dead of winter. Okay. So I want to give it over to April. She's going to be talking about reconnecting with folks with purpose. And let me stop sharing. April, it's all yours.
All right, thanks. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. And like Bobby said, this was a training that did for the Amish people. We had to do a bunch of trainings for them. But I thought this one was so pertinent for everyone. A lot of times we think that once we connect with the person, we've connected with them. And we don't realize that this is the most misunderstood business or industry, I should say, in the world. I mean, people just really don't have an idea of what we do. And then we add oxidative stress on top of it and mitochondria health and like all this science, and people are just like, it's too much. So, it may take us several times to be able to keep just approaching the person so that I always say that the picture gets painted clearer for them. And so through this whole training, I want to talk about, building relationships with people, how to do that follow-up, how to not even follow up, how to reconnect with that person and continue to provide value to that person until they get enough information. And again, it's all on their time. All we can do is our work, and I'll show you the work. And you just never know when things happen. So it's just a matter of doing the same things over and over again. But, we've all had this. We know the word ghosted now. We probably feel it more than anybody else at this point. But I don't want you to think about it. It's not you. And it's not that they don't like what you're saying. They're just busy. And so, a lot of times people, I can tell you with organizing tennis, organizing pickleball, organizing parties, people have never been like, if they're not like, yes, 100%, they just don't answer you. It's like, they'd like to go to lunch, but maybe they're not sure, waiting for a better offer. It's people. It is not you. They're not thinking about you that much. But again, we just have to keep doing our due till the person gets enough information. And so, if I get ghosted or somebody doesn't get back to me and it's strictly business, I'll bring it back personal something about kids, life, something, and then go back at it with business. So that's just like a little high level tip. But again, this slide it's not you, it's them. And it doesn't mean that they're not interested. It doesn't mean anything. It just means they haven't responded. And we've all had, and I'm probably the queen of this one, text messages that maybe we didn't read all of it. I can tell you my tennis friends get really mad at me. My husband gets really mad at me. Text messages that I just didn't see because too many came in at the same time, So stuff goes on. So let's not think it's us. Let's just continue to have a relationship. And if you start to feel weird about it, just bring it back to a personal issue, something of friendship or family or something else, work, and then you can go back to doing more about what we're doing. But I want you to realize we're not digging through old leads because we're desperate. That has nothing to do with it. Like I said, it has to do with us being able to share information. I tell you, I got a flat out no from a girl, I guess about a couple weeks ago, and to the point where she was almost rude. I had met her. I met her actually online, and then we went to a happy hour together. And she just kind of was a Miss Know-it-all, knows all about vitamins, da, 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 da. But now her son is very sick, and he has something that we have a lot of testimonies on. And so again, I went back at her just to let her know what we have, because I really believe, and if you listen to the Wednesday Wellness this past week, I truly believe we have something that everybody needs to know about, but they don't know about it. And so if you get that in your heart, even our business, you think about our business, Bobby and I had a traditional business. He spent, and it was really Bobby's business, but he spent a lot of money on equipment, supplies, a warehouse, employees, lots of overhead, lots of bills to make, to make money, to make decent money. But wound up losing that because he didn't get paid. He couldn't pay others. This is an industry and a business where somebody can start with little startup and do really, really big things. But again, people tend to, because it doesn't, and it's funny, I just went back and forth with a guy I really liked. You'd like this. He was in Sturgis. I was trying to connect you to. Asked where you were, I think, asked where he was and stuff. And so he's so non-committal. And I finally just said, hey, are you ready to get back to work, or did you quit? I mean, I just want to know. If you quit, let me know. I don't care. But, it's just, people are so weird these days, but everybody needs to know this. That's not to say I won't continue to drip on him. Obviously, he doesn't get it. He needs this business. He needs this business financially. He needs the products. Everybody needs what we want, what we have, but they just don't really understand the business. There is no feel, see, and touch. We get on a Zoom, so there's even less feel, see, and touch. And people aren't really short of selling product, which they think is all we do. But I mean, I'm definitely a case in point. When you think about the people skills that have come along in this business, for me in particular, and then you think about the travel that was added onto it, and you think about the family time and the time freedom that was added onto it. Oh my goodness, none of that was even on the page when we started. I thought we were selling products, and Bobby wanted to sell a water filter, and I wanted weight loss and energy. Weight loss and energy, luckily, won over. But, we just both thought we were selling a product. We really didn't get it. But luckily, we saw enough and were excited enough, and maybe because we were in person, but saw enough to say, you know what, money's being made here and we can do it. If they can do it, we can do it. And that was really about as much as we saw. So, this is the thing that goes on. People change. You may not be looking right now. Life may be good. Finances may be good. Everything's great. But, eventually life shifts. And if not for them, for someone in their family, the timing change, maybe the amount of time that they need to take care of their family, particularly all of us as we get older, we've got people in our lives now. And that's why, Wellness Wednesday was so pertinent. And I'll tell you how to connect to some of these events, but life is changing and we really need to make an all-out effort to get people to these events. And there's a lot of great stuff going on. And I'm not saying stay on every Zoom. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you have time, and there's been Wellness Wednesdays, and I'll always get that information from that team. It's Jenny Craig's team, Shauna Mucklow, Marilee Maravich. It's their team, and they send me an email later on Monday sometime, hopefully before the power hour, which is what they've been doing. And so we can invite to the Wednesday meeting. You know what's really cool? I don't have to put it on. If for some reason Monday, Tuesday are just bad days for me and I don't have time, if I don't invite anybody or I don't even get on it, that's fine. Like not this last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before was on gut health, but we were doing a meeting with Clarissa. So I didn't get on it. I had another meeting going on. It doesn't matter. We can pick and choose all these different events to be able to plug people in. We don't have to do anything. It's just a matter of letting people know that there's something, and you kind of make it personal. It was real easy for those that had, elderly parents or an older sister or stuff going on with people that really needed to be able to hear this. And I got to tell you, we met the girl that did this last Wednesday on an Alaskan cruise. In fact, Kenneth and Annette were with us, Bobby and I, and she sat in front of us. And, we were so blown away with the testimony she was telling us at that time. I never asked her name. And then I was like, oh my goodness, how could I not know this person's name? But luckily through Facebook, we reconnected probably a year or two ago, reconnected probably a good year ago. But, and now I know who's doing these Zooms and stuff. And this is actually the second one she's done in the last year. I think the other one was about 11 months old. But that's just this one topic. There's a topic on gut health, and all these people that are talking about bloating and all this other stuff. Who knows what it's going to be this week, but it's an opportunity for you to personally invite different people and just talk about the subject that's going to be on there. And I don't mean the science, I mean build it up. If you know who the doctor is, if you know who else is doing the co-host, because it's always different people going on. But they've all been good. They've all been really good. So it just gives us another time to be able to touch out of people. I mean, if you were on Saturday, I just happened to be, able to watch this Saturday. The training that went on by Jenny Craig was off the charts good on all different types of subjects with building your business. The thing with connecting with some of these Zooms, and again, not all of them, but the ones you have time for, they give you energy. You see, this is a business where we're giving energy all the time. We're putting it out and people are dumping on us and we're putting it out. You need to restore that energy yourself. And so an exciting Zoom about, Wellness Wednesday, or, even our power hour, when we get on and we get to talk about stuff, all this stuff, having around the people that are like us, positive, just gives us more energy, more information, another way to word what we're saying, another story to tell so that we can get back to more people. So as much as we're not a huge fan of every Zoom, if it works with your schedule, definitely get on it, because you need to be able to put that stuff back in. You need something else, kind of in your pocket or your purse to be able to share with the next person. So
April,
this really,
let me just share, our mentor in our first business, and this stayed with me for 34 years. He always said, if you're attending a meeting, whether it's in person or a Zoom, don't do it alone. In other words, if you're going to attend a meeting, make sure you bring a guest with you. Make it a point. If you're going to watch a Zoom, have guests watch it with you. And it was so valuable a tool. And it was like one of the first things that he taught us. He was coming to do a meeting on Long Island. And, I said something like, we're looking forward to meeting you. I think it was going to be the first time we were going to meet in person. And he said, make sure you have guests with you. Don't ever attend a meeting without guests. And that stayed with us. And go ahead, April. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you remember that. I mean, that
yeah, I
happened
do
very
remember that.
early
Yeah.
in our career.
Yeah. So again, with these Zoom meetings, it's the invite. So the guy that I told that, are you in, are you quitting today, that I was talking about the little story earlier, I told him to be on tonight. I don't think I see him on, but I did my job. I started a conversation with him. I invited him. I followed up. I am being consistent. And so he's just one of many that you have in your funnel when you're doing this. So I I believe we should never get to a no. I just don't believe we should get to a no. I just continue to drip on people, particularly the ones I want. And I truly believe you can get anybody you want in this business if you just be consistent with them, if you continue to have conversations, continue to invite them, continue to follow up, and just be consistent. It's kind of like a real estate agent would not all of a sudden be talking about selling homes and in this area, and then the next thing talk about owning a printing shop or being over in insurance or trying to sell something different. You have to keep your activity so people know what it is that you're doing. I think the next slide is, well, no, okay, I'll show you in a few slides what I mean. But this is what it sounds like chasing, and words are very powerful. And you've heard me many times go over what I say, how I give instruction, and it never comes off sounding like instruction, but we have to tell people what to expect and what we want them to do in return. But if you start saying things like, you never got back to me, I've been trying to reach you, did you watch that video, I'm just checking in, that tends to be very salesy, and it turns people off. They're not interested in that. What they will do is, hi, and I've done this a million times, either, your name was next to somebody, whether it was or not. If they pop into like today, as I was going through things, people's names just pop into my head that I haven't talked to in a while. So I always write them down on my calendar, because those are the people I'm going to call. And I will say, hey, yesterday, as I was going through something, your name popped in, and I realized we haven't talked in a minute. How are you doing? So that's how you start with reconnecting. I'm excited I bumped into you. I have something to share with you. How are you? It used to be, and Bobby and I used to laugh, there were certain people we never, ever wanted to say, how are you? Because that meant 15 minutes of every pain they had going on. Now I'll ask, how are you? What to do all day long if I want that person in my business. So, those are just ways to be able to start the conversation. But this is the inviting part. And this is what I want you to get really comfortable with. What's an invite? Invites come in all different shapes and sizes. So it could be something that you're talking about, a new product that comes out. It could be a benefit that you saw, a testimony that relates to them. So those are all different things. It could be, a new stock report. It could be a new, patent on a product. It could be a discount when we do those. There's so many different things. You can even make up your own. If you're talking to somebody and they're talking about a few different products, you can just say, hey, if you buy that as a package, if it's a package, you can even get that cheaper and save another 10% or whatever. So there are different things. You've got coupons you can use. I love to, just elevate our speakers. We have the talent in this company is just unbelievable. So there are certain speakers that I totally get excited about. And when I do an invite to their Zoom, you just know it just comes through the telephone that I'm excited. Or the old-fashioned way, invite them to lunch, coffee if they're together. Anytime you can do stuff in person, it is so much easier, because again, that feel, see, and touch comes back into play. But you know what? If you're talking to somebody that's far away, that's not really easy. But every time you invite them to something, even if they don't show, you are cementing your picture and clearing that picture. They know what you're focused on. You're not all over the place. So continued conversations. Don't worry about the outcome. Just continue to do these. And, we've said forever, at least 2 a day, but, you got to figure out your time. If you can do more, I think it's great. Follow up. I've been so many times when people have joined, they have profusely thanked me for the continued follow-up, for that consistency that I've shown over time. That's probably my strong point, is that follow-up, those little touches again and again, not spending a lot of time, but just, doing our follow-up so that we stay consistent until that person is right. So, I'll just connect, I'll provide value with an event or something, and then stay in touch. If you ever feel like you're to a point where you feel pushy, I've just asked, I've just said, hey, am I being too pushy? And they always say, oh, no, not at all. Because again, I keep doing this dripping of just sharing information with them. So this is an illustration that I don't know if I've shared with you all. One of the things that Bobby and I have done is we've done a great job of people knowing what we do. They don't know the name of the company, they don't know Protandem, but they know we are the Vitamin House. So in our neighborhood next to us, the guy is some kind of big deal with Walmart, so that's who he is. The second house is us, the Vitamin House. Next to us is he used to be sanitation in New York, so I think he's probably mafia. We know he can't have a gun, so that's who is on the other
You
side.
know he is mafia. You
I
don't
know.
have to pretend.
I'm being nice. And then the other side is a big paving company. And then the last one, he was, I think chief of police or something with Miami. So, but the cool thing here is, and maybe you have this with your dogs, we have this too in our neighborhood, but everybody knows everybody or their house by what they do. And so you've heard me many times, if my girlfriends with tennis or whatever, something comes up about a nutritional product or a new study, they're always like, ask April, like she's some kind of, biochemist, knows everything about nutrition or something, or a doctor or something. But you see, we've branded ourselves. So when somebody has a question about networking, they have a question about nutritional products, they're like, let me call Bobby and April and see what they think. So this is what we need to do. And the only way that this happens is if you're very consistent with what you do and letting people know what you do. And so again, we're just going to continue to show up. We're going to share, we're going to invite, we're going to follow up, and we're going to repeat. And you've heard, again, because life is getting so fast paced, it may be 6 times, 10 times, who knows how many times that you may have to follow up. But if it's somebody you really want in your business, it is so, so worth it. So we need to be consistent and not just, disappear for a period of times, because how big a business is it if we disappear and we're not consistent in our message? So we need to be consistently, sharing the message, and we have something you need. It's not like we're sharing a vitamin C or a multivitamin, or, you think about all these other companies that are so big and they have products that don't even really work. I mean, it's just crazy that, we're not just totally exploding because we do have something that helps so many people, so many studies, science behind it, and so unique. It's just unbelievable. But we need to continue, maybe because we have something that is different, to spend more time sharing with people. So this was an illustration for really the Amish people, but, farmers don't plant seeds and pull them up to see if the weeds are growing, kind of common sense there. And sometimes with our business, people get very impatient. Bobby and I, we could be at an impatient season. We have a lot of people doing a little, but we don't have a leg that just blew up. You look at just about everybody else in the company, they got these major legs that blew up, and we have a lot of little legs, going on. So, we could get impatient with that, but we continue to do what we do, and know that our business will grow. Obviously, some of those people and most of those people I'm relating to have been around 14 years. We're around 8 years. So, I've got to give myself grace. But sometimes we compare ourselves to people that have been in longer and expect things to happen faster. But this is the greatest business. And I can tell you, because we were with that company, the previous company, for 25 years, we had time in. That time allowed things to happen. It allowed somebody to introduce somebody who introduced somebody who, was a celebrity, or, we've got story after story you've heard of these people, or people that just went to work and just, blew up our business. They weren't people we personally know. So our job is always to, obviously get somebody in the business who wants to do the business, has a desire to do the business. But our first role is to get to their people right below them and their people below them, and just, drive it deep there. So that's really our responsibility. And when we do that, that's when things happen. But sometimes that takes time. Might take a couple months, might take a couple of years. But this is where being in the long haul is so, so important. And those people that jump from company to company, and that's not really anybody on here, I feel sad for them, because they don't get it. They really don't get it, that this is an industry that over time just gets sweeter and sweeter. It's kind of like a marriage. The longer, it's rough and rocky in the beginning and maybe not so good. And then over time, it just gets, Deb, you know what I'm talking about, right? Over time, it gets to, I saw your pictures. It gets to a really good place over time. So we are definitely in this for the long haul. Okay. So again, our job isn't to convince. We don't want everybody, but stay connected. And some of the other ways that you can stay connected can just be little thank yous for, send a hand cream, send some Axio, send some different things to people, send them a hat, send them a jug or something, all these people love notes. I can't tell you whether it's, anniversary, birthday, whatever it is, if you can make a point of staying in touch with your people on a personal level, have a relationship with them, and then you get to decide who you want to work with. So ultimately, this is the last slide. Who will you reconnect with over this week? Could you write 2 names a day, for the Monday through Friday that you're going to reconnect with, people that you've already connected with? I mean, a lot of events this week. You've got tomorrow night, you've got Wednesday night. I'm sure, and that other group is doing something on Thursday. There's lots of stuff. I've been posting all this in Team Unity Wins, so all that stuff is in there. Just go ahead and grab a night that's good for you. Invite those people to that night that, if Wednesday doesn't work, do Thursday. There's so much stuff going on. If Monday's not good, do Wednesday, whatever works, but get people on and invite them to things or share a new information with them. What's really cool, and I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook, people will take an old video or old study now and repost it as something new. So you think, oh, did I, who should know better? I'm like, oh, did I miss something? And it's just an old study or an old video that they're just kind of posting as new. It just happened, So we have so many tools. We just need to look to use some of those tools. So anyway, I'm going to stop the share and we'll get back to everyone. So what did I do?
You didn't stop sharing.
I thought I did. Let's hit play and stop share. It's not letting me. I think the 2 computers are computing. Here we go. All right, we're back. Good.
How about a hand for that, would you? Good stuff. Now, don't you think? If everyone actually, Catalina, I'm going to ask you to do something for 1 minute, Catalina. So get ready. I'm gonna set you up, okay? The other day, April, April plays a lot of tennis. I play pickleball, but most of the time, April's playing pickleball with me too. And she invites a lot of her tennis friends to come play pickleball. And I hadn't seen some of them in a while, and some of them I'd never met. But I had the opportunity. One I hadn't seen in a couple of years, and I probably have lost 25 or 30 pounds since she saw me the last time. So her comment was, "You look great." Then another one was, I don't know how it came up, but I mentioned that, 3 or 4 days a week, I bring breakfast and dinner over to my dad. And they said, "How's he doing?" And I said, "Well, he's about to turn 90 and he's doing better at 90 than he was at 83." And they said, "How is that possible?" And I said, "Well, he's lost 70 pounds. He's no longer a diabetic. He was on 17 medications. Now he's on 5." I said, "And he's on our products." And they didn't know exactly what that meant. And I said, "Well, he's on a bunch of our products. Those products have helped him get off the meds that he was on, but they've done a lot of good for him." And these ladies that April plays tennis with, they got parents in their late 70s and 80s and stuff too. And I just saw their eyes almost pop out of their head, when they heard that. And I said, "Look, he's doing better at 90 than he was at 83. And he was one of 10 kids, and the oldest only made it to 84. He's already 6 years beyond the oldest anyone ever got to live to." Now, I share that with you because, and get ready, Catalina, the Wellness Wednesday was about the results that folks are getting in nursing homes and assisted living and the older population. And I know Catalina, and I call Catalina because I love her, but she's Dr. Grija, okay? But she just went nuts over this. Now, just so you folks understand, that's a paid subscription. That's not a corporate thing, okay? And that's why April will always get you this stuff on Monday when she gets it, because this is a team doing it and it's a paid subscription. It's not something that corporate is doing. So every week, like April said, there's a new topic. The week before was gut health. But you got to think about this for 1 second. How many people do you know, okay, that are in their 70s, 80s, or 90s that would like to get off their meds and feel like they did when they were 10 years younger? Like everybody? Okay, like everybody. Catalina, when you saw what that was all about, I know you immediately said, April, can you like get that for me? It was what give some feedback on your feelings with that, because I know that really got you pumped.
Yes, the fact that we always say that the younger you are when you start these products, right, the better the results. But the fact that she's had 10 years worth of experience with these products and in folks that are, yes, 70, 80, 90, and she had never seen people go home from hospice and extending that first of all, now she had people going back
Now,
home.
now, just Catalina, hospice means it's end of life, right? You're getting
End of
ready to
life,
kind of
right?
check out, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
hospice means, once you put in hospice, it means that there is no chance for you to recover, and you have a very limited lifespan. And for most people it's a few months. And she had in her experience that they had people stay there less than 2 years, like 16 months, I think she said was max. And then there were like years and or people going back home. And she found out about these from a physical therapist who was having fantastic results with the product. So life extension, even by people starting on the last 100 yards, so to speak, that's that is amazing. And it's nothing that anything else can do. I don't know how to say this. I've never seen this. I've never heard of this with anything else, and it
I've
makes
never
me
heard of anyone going home from hospice and going back home.
no.
I've never heard of that before.
No, no, absolutely. And she mentioned two more illnesses that were halted. The progress was stopped, and which is again something that does not happen. And I know that there is a lot of work, even in cancer treatments, with certain types of medications that can kind of prolong life for people that are literally stage 4. um, and this is a supplement that does that.
Yep.
So it's like, yes, very, um, this is not about us. This is about so many other people.
I think I probably told, and some of you may have heard this, but my dad would never take any products from me because I wasn't a doctor. So when the vaccine almost killed him, the Moderna vaccine almost killed him, they sent him home and suggested, and he survived. Thank God he survived. But the doctor had said it'd be a good idea to put him on a probiotic, and the window opened for me because we had one. We had a probiotic, and I put our probiotic in one of his empty prescription bottles, so he didn't know, that he was getting it. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Well, that would work with Omega. That would work with Protandim. That would work with all our products. Just as his empty pill bottles ran out, just fill them up with our products. And obviously that was done out of love because my father just wouldn't do it. But I always let his doctor know what I was doing. Okay. And she was very open-minded. She looked at the product. She didn't have an opinion one way or the other, but she saw his blood work getting better. She saw him coming off prescriptions. She saw him go from 250 to 185 pounds. He's no longer a diabetic. He's not even pre-diabetic, and he was an out of control diabetic. So she saw all of that. And it's funny, April mentioned this the other day. She says, maybe you need to talk to her about the business. And I'm like, maybe you're right. It was like, it's time. And she's very, very easy. She reminds me of Dr. Patty, if any of you knew her. She's still my doctor, but she's April's best friend. And but think about it.
So just one more thing, the Wednesday wellness, since we're spending so much time on that, that Zoom is not recorded. I
Right.
kind of had to go through a back door to get that particular recording, and I will always try to steal it one way or the other for you. So it's kind of on a personal share type of thing. They're pushing everybody to a podcast.
Right.
But for the ones that I shared it with, they're like, a what? Where do I find and it was just like too complicated for most of them. So you can always pick it up on a podcast, but the Zoom
But
is
then there's no picture.
not
It's
right. It's
just
not
audio.
shared. Yeah. So the Zoom is not shared
So you
readily
either
anyway.
get on it live
Yeah.
or you kind of
But
miss
you can,
it.
yeah, you can just tell your person, look, there won't be a recording. And maybe that will make them, I don't ever want to lie to somebody with our Monday night one, because I do know we try to record it unless something should go wrong. But you do know Wednesday night there is no recording. So if you tell it to them that way, they'll make every effort to get on.
Now, April reached out to the lady that did all this with the assisted living nursing home, and we've offered to do a training for her team if she would do a training for ours. And it may be a month or two down the road, but she has agreed to do that. So she's tied up with some other things, but probably sometime before Global, we'll have a Sunday night where we'll have her. But again, that's one person that was with that audience, and I mean, the week before it was gut health. So, look, if you look at it, every time you hear the topic and think of who do you know that would have benefit from that topic, and invite to it. Okay. Because live, it's everybody can see it live. Okay. And if you say there is no recording, this is going to be done live. Now, the podcast, I mean, it's audio, is what it is. There's no, but April happened to get this one on. We have this one. So we're not posting it though. And you can't post it. But if you ask for it, we can give it to you individually, but it's not for posting. It's only for sharing with somebody that would be interested in using it. Okay, that's it. So, anything else, April?
Mm-mm.
So, back to the main event tomorrow night. Okay, who are you going to invite tomorrow night? And think, if you're going to watch any of these Zooms, it's so much more fun if you have guests watching it with you. It's amazing, and they'll probably start texting you during it, asking questions that come to mind. I always loved being at an opportunity meeting, a live one. So I'm dating myself, going back to the live ones, but I loved seeing it through their eyes when they were watching it for the first time, because it reminded me of what happened to me the first time I saw it, and so if you're gonna get on a Zoom, then have guests with you. Don't just, you don't have to be on every Zoom to educate yourself just so you can check a box and say, I was on the Zoom. If you hear something, if somebody's doing pets, okay, that's probably coming in the near future. Horses and dogs, I'm sure somebody it's coming up. How many people do you know? Okay, you probably know people with horses, but let's face it, everyone almost has a dog, If you don't, your relatives or kids do, and if you think about inviting, it's endless, and all you got to do in this business is invite. You don't even have to do the meeting. You don't have to host it. You don't have to do anything. Just invite. And you'll have a so many different topics to invite to, okay, that it's endless. So, but anyway, sorry it went a little long tonight. I just that Wednesday that with the elderly and my dad being healthier now at 90 than he was at 83, man, that's very personal. It was those of you that know me, when my mom died of dementia 7 years ago, my dad wanted to jump in the grave with her. And now he's a perky, excited, diehard Yankee fan. And, I got to live with that because my team sucks. I'm a Met fan. So I got to deal with that every morning I bring him breakfast. I have to hear that stuff. But I am so thankful that I get the opportunity to see him. I mean, he's still here. Praise God. So anyway, let's have a big night tomorrow night. You got 24 hours. Let's invite folks on, plug into the power hour tomorrow and give you a chance to invite or confirm. And we'll go from there. So, and I hope your summers are almost over. Okay. It's been a few months, It's like I know officially it's not over to after Labor Day. So I understand there's still another couple weeks. But anyway, have a great night, everybody. We love you. God bless you. Bye.